Watcher, and welcome back to episode 3 in Larry's Guide to Crafting in SWG. In the first two episodes, we've talked around how to start crafting, how crafting works, some thoughts about which crafting professions you might like to do. And I think someone's trying to shoot me there. And in this episode, we're going to talk about probably one of the reasons why I really enjoy this game, which is about resources. So if you know everything about resources, you might better skip this video. If you're not sure that you know everything about resources, stick around and you might learn a few bits. And I hope it can be of use. So in order to create anything in Star Wars Galaxies, you have to have resources. And in order to get resources, they have to be extracted from the planet, effectively. That's probably a good way to describe it. Resources do not appear in this game as nodes, as you would find in other games and other MMOs, where you would see, oh, there's an ore node over there. I'm going to go and get my pickaxe and hit it a few times and extract some ore, which is a process that I think most RPG online games people are familiar with. In this game, they are in nodes, but the nodes are hidden under the ground. So if I look at the galaxy map of the planet, so this is the planet of Naboo, where I currently am. If I look at this, scale it out a bit. If this is the planet, then in various locations, there are resource nodes. You can't see them visually, they're hidden under the ground. So here, for example, in this particular location, there could be a particular type of ore. There could be a particular gas over here. The same gas might be here, might also be here, and might also be here, all at the same time. I talked that resources shift in and shift out. So at any given time, there are a number of resources on this planet. You can't see them. You have to use a survey tool to find where they are, and then you have to go and extract them from the ground, either by hand sampling, and I'll show you how that works, or by getting a harvester and placing it on the location, and I'll show you some harvesters because they're dotted around the place. In each of these individual locations, you will also get a different concentration of the resource. The gas that's over here might be only an up to 50% concentration, whereas the same gas over here might be up to 80% of a concentration. That means that resources and finding resources is an entire mini game all on its own. And I personally know a few people that like nothing better than driving around the planet on a Sunday afternoon trying to find the best resource concentrations for the best resources that are currently available. A lot of people really like to do it. And it's a critical part of the ecosystem of the game that some people really do like doing it, because personally I'm not a big fan. I'll do it if I need to do it. So how do you find these resources, these hidden nodes that are under the map? So you need a survey tool. And I've zoomed in my inventory here, and I'll show you some different survey tools. I've got one here. This is a chemical survey device. This device you use to find chemicals. This device is for finding water. This device is a special one that I got from the Aurelian village on Dathomir as part of the Jedi process, which is an inorganic. So this survey device is a special one, and it will show me all inorganics that exist on the planet. Remember, we talked about going up that resource tree before. Lots of things on the mineral survey device are inorganics, but obviously everything else on the chemical survey device are also inorganics, and that one particular special device will show me all of the inorganics that are available. Okay, so it will show me the water as well as showing me the chemicals, as well as showing the minerals and the gas. So it's like having 4 tools for the price of 1. So it's pretty good. And other ones that are available, wind, which is not commonly used after the early sort of month of the game, because people move on to radioactive energy, and also flora. So you need one of these devices, and as I showed before, you can use the device. You can choose a particular resource, and you can start looking for it. For example, if I choose the flora survey device and I want to go and find some Nabooian domesticated wheat, I will select it and hit survey. See this little animation, and it will show me here that actually this resource is available where I stand. Over here there's a 24% concentration, and over here there's a 59% concentration. What the game will do is will aim to lead me towards the best location. So if I look towards the orientation, which way is it going? If I run around, go this way, because it shows me a little image of myself, I can run towards what would be considered a better concentration. And I can press survey again. I can keep running in this direction, and it's going to lead me towards the better concentration of this resource. It says a waypoint has been put on the map. So I can continue to follow in this direction. It will still lead me towards the best. You can see the waypoint's actually over here. If I do this process a bit quicker. So it looks like we're going to top out probably at close to 80% concentration. Oh no, we're going to go over, we're going to 81. Lo and behold, there's a lot of flora harvesters. That's what these things are. And here we have an 81% concentration of this resource. Now I'm not going to go into the formulas because it's a concept that you just need to get, and you don't need to worry too much about the maths at the moment. Everyone can understand that an 81% concentration is going to produce more resources than a 69%. It doesn't affect the quality of the resource. This resource, as I said yesterday, it's named. It has a set of attributes. They are all fixed. They were determined when the resource was rolled in the big resource generator machine that you never see. But then I've got two choices. You can see here, this person over here is probably hand sampling to pull some out the ground, which is a process that you can do whilst you're at the keyboard or away from it. Or you can get one of these things. This is a harvester. You drop it on the particular location. You put some money into it. You put some power into it. And you say to it, go and collect this till I tell you to stop. And that's what these are doing. This is a medium and these are heavy harvesters. There's three types of harvesters: personals, mediums and heavies. Excuse me. These are the mediums and these are the heavies. They both take one lot. Lots are something that you get that allow you to place structures in the world. These are structures. And you can drop these, harvest the resource you want, and then you can pack them up and take them with you and go and put them somewhere else later. But if I want to collect some of this resource out of the ground on my own, I can come over to, let's get that window up there. I can come over to here and just hit this button called Get Sample. My character's going to kneel. It's going to consume some action. That's why I said I like to put action onto all of my characters. And if I scroll down here, you can see that she sampled 20 units of this wheat. Now, if I leave this, sit and have my cup of tea for a second, 25 seconds after she sampled the resource, she's going to sample the resource again. Another 78 action, which is going to regen, and now I've got 40 units of this resource. And I can sit here effectively until I stop sitting here. Either the resource is going to despawn, my client's going to disconnect because I turn my PC off, but this process will carry on running indefinitely. At some point, there'll be a little pop-up window that will say there's a potential for a better concentration. So it gives like a bonus to what you see here. So you might pull up 300 on a single pull. But this process of 20 units every 25 seconds is going to continue until I stop. And what determines how much I'm pulling up is the concentration and my survey skill. Now I've been working my way through the Jedi process, and I dropped some boxes yesterday. So I've only got 2 boxes currently, but I've got some bonuses from my Jedi tree that's giving me extra survey skill. So currently my survey skill is 70, plus I've got 25 in tapes, so I've got a total of 95. So that's improving how much I've got. It's also possible for you to get food. There's a food called Chadad, and which also increases your survey skill. So if I was to eat some of that food whilst I was doing this process, I would pull some more out. It's not significantly more. It will be like 1 or 2 units more. But over a 6-hour period, every 25 seconds, an extra 2 units is quite useful. You can see here, it shows down here, it's not always a fixed value, but it operates in a range. The range is about 3, I think. So if 20 is the top end that she pulls, right now my character, 17 will be the bottom end. So this process is how you collect resources. When the game starts and you need resources, this is how you collect them. Excuse me. Once you've collected some early game resources, you can then start building some things to help you pull them out. Like I said, you can start to create harvesters, and there's early ones available to artisans that have gone up the engineering tree. So up here, you get the ability down here to create personal harvesters. And the process, as you can imagine, goes from hand sampling to using personal harvesters to medium harvesters to high capacity harvesters. Hand sampling comes under a lot of criticism at some times because it's effectively a way I can pull resources with no cost to myself, apart from my PC being logged in. So where these harvesters require me to use a lot, for which I've got 10 per character, so I've got a fixed amount of lots. They also require maintenance to make them work, so you've got to put credits in them. And you need to power them, so you have to put in radioactive or some wind energy, which you've got to buy or harvest. They consume it, whereas it doesn't cost me anything to sit here and pull these resources out of the ground. The only thing is it costs the time for my character. If I take a 24-hour window, though, and let's say I play actively for 4 hours, I've got another 20 hours in the day where I could be pulling resources up all the time. It's not necessarily the best thing to do to leave my PC on all day long, but it's something I could do if I wanted to pull up a lot of resources and not pay any credits for them, or not consume any credits in the process. So that's how you start to pull resources. This, as you can see, this percentage, the percentage concentration, it's not visible on the map. I am here right now. So I can zoom into me down here, and no matter how much I zoom, there'll be no way for me to see these resources. But this resource is operating in this sort of ring. If I was to move over here, this resource wouldn't be available. It just so happens I knew that one was there and it was a good example. But if I want, for example, wanted to find a different resource, let's stand up and stop that process. Let's say I wanted to find this particular wild wheat, and I survey for it. It's not available here. So I've got to now get on my swoop, and I've got to fly around the planet, and periodically I've got to press this button to try and find this resource. And eventually I will find it. A quick way to do that process is to just jump between starports and have a look. You've got to be out in the open, so away from player cities, to be able to drop harvesters or NPC cities. But, you know, various resources will be available in various locations. That's the first thing. Oh, so you can see we're just on the border of that wild rice here. I could turn around. I could run over in this direction. And I can see that that resource is going to spawn. Now, it's not going to spawn to 81% necessarily. You can see here this harvester in the background, a couple of different types. This is an ion generator. This is harvesting radioactive. Fusion ion generator. This is a heavy mineral. This is pulling up lots of minerals. And as you progress from personals to mediums to heavies, the amount they pull out of the ground increases and the amount they can store inside them increases. So I can see here that this resource is going up to a 70 odd concentration, but it's probably not going to go any higher. Oh no, it is. Okay, so it's probably going to go maybe to 80, maybe slightly more. And if this is a particular resource I want, an 80% concentration is pretty fantastic, to be honest. Okay, now, as I start to talk more about resources, there's a number of important things to know. Firstly, these resources are not here forever. This resource, this domesticated wheat that I pulled up, that's really good for chef, is not going to be here forever. So where this has got really good stats, a potential energy 760 and overall quality 988. Remember, that's not the overall quality of the resource. It's going to be here for a finite period of time. I'm going to put some links in the description to give you the details and the breakdowns. Some resources are there for 5 days. Some resources will last for 20 days. Some resources were introduced specifically with the jump to light speed expansion, where they would go to higher concentrations because ships required you to use masses and masses of resources to build a ship. So there's some resources that are available on all SWG servers. However, some resources will go up to a higher concentration than others. And it's worth knowing which ones those are because that can really make a difference on how effective you can be at pulling it out of the ground. That's one of the ways to get yourself resources. Another way to get yourself resources is to come here to the SWG forums and to come down to, in this example, the Finalizer trade forum. And people on the trade forum will sell resources. There's somebody here that's decided they're not going to be a crafter anymore. They've pulled a load of resources out of the ground and they're deciding to sell some. They said that the minimum bid is 2 CPU, increments of 1. We can split stacks and the auction's going to end tonight at 10 o'clock EST. Okay, and very handily in this resource auction, they put a link to another website that shows all the resource stats. Okay, and that's where we're going to go next. We're going to go to this website called GalaxyHarvester.net because, in my view, it is the premium and the premier place to go if you're a crafter and you need to know about resources and which resources. Okay, so let's jump straight over to that website. And this is Galaxy Harvester. When you click on the home page, when you land, it could probably be quite daunting for people. I've got a load of resources here. I've got a load of servers that this website will store the information that players put into it. So if I want to go and look at what's currently available on Basilisk now and in the past, I can click on the Basilisk server. We're going to stay on Finalizer because that's where we're playing. And all of these resources that exist have been here because they've been entered by somebody. Okay, so Jaws is a fanatical member of the SWG community, and he likes to record which resources have spawned on the planets and the statistics. So if you look at this website, one of the ways that you can use it is you come up here and you press list. So what this is going to do, it's now going to compile a list of all of the resources that are currently available on Finalizer, and it's going to sort them by time that they were found. So the last resource to be entered that exists on the Finalizer server was entered 2 minutes ago by Sundancer. There's a new lubricating oil, and it's got a decay resistance of 796, and it's got an overall quality of 550. And it will show all of the resources as they've been discovered and entered into this website. It will color code them when they're a high percentage. For example, this Rory domesticated wheat has got a potential energy of 893, which is particularly quite good. However, most chef resources require a combination of PE and OQ, and the OQ is only 288. So whilst that particular stat is quite good, this resource is probably pretty worthless. Okay. So the next bit, we can also sort that by the type. So I can click here and it will split it out into all the different types of resource. So it will start to put it in that resource tree that I showed yesterday. And I can scroll through here and I can see all of the milks that are available. I can see the domesticated meats that are available. And I can scroll down. You can see it's quite a long scroll bar because there's lots of resources. And it'll go through bones, meats, hides, minerals. everything else that you see. Lots of flora, lots of planet-specific flora. If I scroll it down here, you can see that I'm right on Naboo. And if I wanted Naboo Fiberblast, this is the resource that's currently in spawn. It was found by this person or logged by Jay. It was verified by Jaws that this is a resource that exists. This is the name. Okay. This will show me everything that's there. The other thing that's great about this website, it's like two of quite a lot of things that are great, is also I can go and find resources. So yesterday, when we were looking at the power-up required mineral, and it required overall quality. That's all it was interested in. I told you that minerals can spawn with an overall quality of 1 and they can spawn with 1,000. And if I've got a resource with 1,000, it's the best resource I could possibly have to go into that slot. And this website has the ability to search the entire resource database to find a specific resource. So if I wanted to know what the best 2 resources were for making those power-ups, if I clicked on the find, I could select the resource group and I could come down and I could say I want you to find me all the minerals that have got a minimum overall quality of 975 or better. And I can tell you, go and find them please. This website will come back and rank them with all of the resources that have got 975 overall quality or better. So I've got this one particular one here that's got an overall quality of 997. And that's it. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 resources that have spawned. It doesn't like it when I zoom in quite so much. There's 5 resources that have currently spawned that have got an overall quality of 950 or better. This one has not been available for 55 days. This one has not been available for 74 days. This one has not been available for 15 days. Not been available for 34, 43. So at the moment, if you wanted to know the resources that are currently the best, if I click only available, search again, there aren't any resources that have got 975 or better. If I go for 900, there's one resource that's 900 or better. So when I said the ways to get your hands on resources, firstly, you can sample them. Secondly, you can go to the trade forums and find people that are selling them. The third way is you can go to someone's vendor where they've collected the resources and they're selling them later. If I was to go back to my house, I've got resources for sale on my vendor that I've harvested that I no longer need, or I harvested them as a good investment to then sell later on. That's the third way that you can get yourself resources in this game. So if I wanted to know which was the best, we'll uncheck that again. We'll go back. We'll go to 997, I think it was. This one particular resource is the best mineral to put in that slot. And if it's beaten by something better spawning, it's not going to be beaten by a lot, right? Because it's 997 out of 1,000. Now I also need a chemical. So let's change the filter down to be 950 plus. Scroll it back up, find chemical. What choices have I got? There's only been 3. And the best resources for this slot is this particular Corellian fibroblast that's not been available for 48 days. So the 2 best resources are this Corellian fibroblast and that other aluminium. If I was to get those right now, and I'm a 10-point artisan, I can make power-ups as good as anybody and everybody else on the server. When you spend more time understanding how this website works, you can also find what are the best resources for anything that you want to build. If I navigate my way through this resource tree that exists in the website for a second, I can go through polymers. It will show me all the things that you could possibly use that take a polymer. So if we were looking at curved swords, for example, I can click here. This is the schematic for curved swords, as if it was on the crafting tool. It shows to me that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 different things where I could experiment on this resource. I can experiment on the damage. I can experiment on the ham. I can experiment on the range costs. And I can experiment on the condition. So on this power hammer, we'll use that as an example. I can experiment on the condition. I can experiment on the ham costs. I can experiment on the range modifiers. And I can experiment on the damage. Of all of the statistics, or the attributes as I called them yesterday, it's only ever interested in shock resistance. Okay? So shock resistance is affecting all of those things. So that's where it says attack speed is shock resistance, it's 100%. To impact the maximum damage is shock resistance, it's 100%. So if I go down on this website, it will show me the best current resources available. I need 34 steel, I need 12 polymer, and I need a subcomponent, but we'll skip that for a minute. So 34 steel and 12 polymer. This is the polymer that's available. So the best one for shock resistance is this at 508. But if I scroll down here, the best of all time for this resource is this polymer with the shock resistance of 972. This hasn't been available for 74 days. Now the server's been available for 3.5 months. So the chance of you getting hold of this polymer is not a lot. Okay. The chance of you getting the second best, which hasn't been available for 105 days, which is nearly the length of the server, maybe add another 10. The chance of getting the server second best is not very high either. The server third best has not been available for 105 days. It doesn't go further than that. So the chance of you getting some of the server best resources is not very high, but it will show you that this is the best polymer and this is the best steel, and this was available 46 days ago. And same again, the third best has been not available for 31 days. What becomes important when you're crafting is the quality value that you see here. Now, what this is attempting to do is attempting to say shock resistance is the only thing I'm interested in, and I'm interested in 100% shock resistance. So if the resource had 1,000 shock resistance at 100%, it would have a resource quality of 1,000. So on this steel, where I want shock resistance, it's got 987, so the quality is 987 because it's a straight 100% ratio. If you go down, the server's third best is 958. And if you see what's currently available, it's 879. Now, there's a big difference between 879 and 972. But what's important in crafting, we'll come on to that when I do the specific tutorials around being an armor smith and being a weaponsmith, is just how much difference is that going to make to the final item. When we crafted the power-ups yesterday, we could see that there was a difference in the percentage that I could achieve with the resources that I used. The line grew, and when I experimented along the line, I got a higher result. I think it was 22% on the item for the power-up, the modifier, and then I think it went to 25. So there was a 3% difference in those two resources in the final impact on the item. Not a strict 3% difference, but the 3% in the actual number. So what's important about crafting is you start to learn over time, and I'll try and accelerate that process, just what the difference is going to be between pulling this out of the ground right now and hunting around and trying to buy this one. Because you could pull this out of the ground now for free. And a resource that's 46 days old and it's server best, somebody might try and charge you 15 credits per unit. Now, that starts to have a massive impact on the cost it costs you, on the cost to produce the item, versus the profit you're going to potentially make when you sell it. And whilst that's not important, as I said yesterday, to me personally, it's not about the credits. The availability and the time and effort I might spend looking for this resource versus just going getting some of this could be massively different. The fourth way, by the way, I've just remembered, the fourth way of getting resources is you order them, right? So some people quite happily play the game as resource miners, right? They'll go around the planets, they'll find resources, they'll drop their harvesters, they'll be on top of people's requests for buying resources. They'll do that through the forums or Discord or guilds, and people will collect resources for other people. That's a massive part of the game. And I, as a single person, I make lots of stuff. I'm not in a guild, so I rely on a network of people that can help supply me with resources when something particular spawns that I want to get a lot of. So, hand sample out the ground, drop a harvester, buy them off the trade forums, order them specifically from somebody who advertises their services. That's how you get resources. Hand sampling is free. It just costs you your in-game time. Any harvester costs credits and or power to power them, to provide those resources. Or you can just spend your time running missions, killing stuff with a swordsman, generating cash, and then buying the resources for your other character that just happens to be a crafter. This website is the, in my mind, ultimate resource for details on schematics, details on which resources are available, what's been available, helps you find them. You can sit and update this thing till the cows come home every 10 minutes if you want, to show you what's been spawned. You can also set up notifications through the website. I don't run it. Much respect to the guy that set it up and created it. I've been using it now for a lot of years, and we can see that nothing else has been logged in because we're now at 16 minutes since this one existed. And generally, what a great resource. It's a very simple process to add resources. There's a donate button, just to show this stuff needs to be supported. Please support this website. They don't look for massive amounts of contribution, but it's a really critical part of the crafting game. And also, much respect to the people that put these updates in. Okay, so much respect to Jaws. He's constantly going around and updating the resources, and he updates thousands of resources, and everyone else in the team that does it as well, right? And for all the other independent people that put updates in here, thanks to them, because without them, my crafting would become a lot more complicated. So I've got my profession. I've decided I want to be a particular type. I've shown you a way to generate cash with survey missions. Straight from the off, I've shown you how resource nodes work. The only particular thing I would say at the moment is for creature resources. It's different, but it's the same. The way that creature resources work is, if you were to look on the planet, you would still have the same sort of resource nodes, but the resource nodes relate to the healthiness of the size of the creature. When you kill something and you've got the scout skill and you can harvest the bone, the meat or the hide, when you do it, it will say it was skinny, or it was of medium size, or it was fat. And that determines the size of the yield. Okay? There's a size of the yield determined by the creature. There's a size of the yield determined by where you've killed it. So unlike a gas that might spawn in this location and nowhere else, you could imagine that this, for creature resources, the whole map is skinny, because that's the lowest. And then this pocket here is fat. So if I kill that particular creature in this particular location, I'll harvest more resources. I'm not sure if that's going to work in my explanation, or whether I'll need to come back. Leave me some comments on the video if that made sense, or check out one of my live streams on Twitch. You'll see at the moment, this afternoon, for example, I'm going to go off and kill some rancors. I'm going to be harvesting Dathomirian carnivore meat. I kill the same size mob, but if I kill it in different places, over there I'll harvest more resources than over here. What you start to then learn for creature harvesting is you always want to be from this town here. I want to be doing missions to the south about 1,000 meters, because I know here there's a heavy spawn, or a heavy node, or a fat node I should say, for Nabooian carnivore meat. But if I go over here, kill the mission, that's all skinny. So I want to get missions in this particular direction. Also on the GalaxyHarvester website, if you look at the creature resources, and we'll bring them up because I skipped over it. It will also show you what drops the particular resource. So we've got Laconian leathery hide here. If I click on it, it will show me that Laconian leathery hide is used in all of these items here. And down here, it will show me all of the things that drop it and the yield you get from them. So if you were to go around killing Kimlagilas, the base yield is 1,000. If you were to go around killing Vesps, which are like little birds on lock, you're only going to get 5. Okay, so this helps you determine which creature missions you should be pulling off the terminals or which creatures you should be hunting for in the wild. If you take leathery hide, not leathery hide, woolly hide, for example. I'm an armor smith. We require woolly hide in... I need to go back up here to hide. If I go down here, it will show me the different types of hide. So woolly hide is used in composite armor. But if you look down here, actually it's not going to show me there. It shows me somewhere else. The best woolly hide yields don't come from there. They come from Rory, because you've got things on Rory called Tauntons that have got massive yields. So where you need woolly hide to make composite, you need Rory woolly hide to make Riz armor, and the best place to get woolly hide from in terms of yield is Rory. So you always need to be looking, if you're an armor smith, at the Rory woolly hide situation, because if a good woolly hide spawns on Rory, then you've really got the ability to get loads of it and cheaply, because people can harvest 100,000 units of this in a very short space of time, and that will last you for ages. So different planets have different creatures. The creatures have different yields, but on top of that, in particular locations on the planet, they'll yield more or yield less. Okay, so you want Taunton on Rory in a fat zone, and I think with a Master Ranger plus some food, plus being in a group with another Ranger because it's bonus on bonus on bonus, plus being the highest mission level they can pull, they're probably pulling 1,300, 1,300 per kill. Okay, imagine there's 20 mobs on the lair, right? People can pull a lot of resources if they've got the right skills, they're killing the right mob in the right location. And you'll find that in the Scout and Ranger community, there'll probably be lots of conversations going on about, I've found a fat zone on the map if you go south of Citadel, for example, and don't ever, take missions out of Stormwind because it's all skinny areas all around there. That moves just as much as the resources move for everything else. So when a new Rory woolly hide spawns, all of the spawn locations for the fat zones will also move. You can't see them. You can't get a tool that you can survey them. You just have to go through a trial and error process of killing mobs in particular locations. So you'll find quite often when a new resource spawns for a creature resource, someone with Scout will take a mission north, then they'll take missions east, south and west, and then try and work out. And if it's all skinny all around here, then move to this location and then take missions north, south, east and west to try and find those fat zones. To really maximise what they pull out of the ground. So that's resources. I think that's probably all I want to go into before I start going into the in-depth details of each crafting profession. So the resources on the planet, you need to pull them out. Hopefully that's a good guide. That website's amazing. Please donate to the process, donate to the cause, because it's really super, just as much as I would encourage you to donate to SWG EMU. Because it's a non-for-profit organisation and there's costs and we need to help. So thanks very much for watching. I'll see you next one, hopefully next couple of days. Ta-da, goodbye.